You will be sent. Just like Jesus was sent here on earth to give us messages, to prophesy to us, to give us lessons, we also will be sent to the naysayers and to the believers. We will be, when we're doing the will of God, there will be times and situations that you will be in where you are in those situations because you are teaching whoever you are around a lesson. You're also being sent to teach them a lesson. You're also being sent to humble them, to show them who God is. Because when you're a vessel of God, you're going to be used for God's glory. So you're going to be used to spread God's testimony, his word, how alive and active it is. So sometimes you will be sent out to the naysayers and to the mockers and the scoffers and the unbelievers. You will be sent to them to show them, a lesson, to give them a lesson, to humble them in due time. I'm not saying all of it's going to happen in one time, but there will be situations where you will be mocked at and laughed at and scoffed at, because those situations are going to turn around and make they're going to turn around and give them a lesson and humble them and show them who God really is and God's glory. And that's why I just, those times where we're underdogs, where we are, doing the will of God and it looks crazy and people don't understand it and they don't agree with it, but we have to say, what is that word? Persistent. We have to persist. We have to stay persistent, and we have to keep doing the will of God, because in due time, things will manifest. Things will be able to show itself and prove itself who and what was really that God was really in charge, and that you were, basically right this whole entire time, even though it wasn't you. Because one thing about it is, when they're coming after you, they're coming after God. They're not coming after you. They're coming really after God. When you're doing the will of God, it's not you that they're coming after. They're coming after God. So when they're mocking you, they're scoffing at you, they're not believing in you, they're not taking you seriously, of what you're saying, of what you're doing, of the change that's in you, all these types of things. If they are not acknowledging you and what you got going on, what you're saying, they're not coming after you. They're coming after God. And one thing about it, God is not to be mocked. He's not to be mocked. So these situations where we are the underdog, and that's another thing, is that when we are the underdog in these situations, when we are being mocked at, scoffed at, people not taking us seriously, thinking that we're crazy and stuff, when we are in those situations where we are, low, and things are not showing, the fruit is not there, all the promises that, God has given you, he's talked to you about, and you're trying to spread the word to other people and they haven't yet come to pass, that, uh, dang, I just lost my whole train of thought. Wow. Look at that. So let me take this back a little bit. So dang, I just lost my whole train of thought. Wow. Um oh yeah, so those situations, those times where you are, when people are, giving you backlash and it's negative, those situations are actually a footstool for you too. They're a footstool to elevate you. They're there to, those situations that God has you in is actually there to elevate you. It's there to, take you higher and take you to where you need to go to get to that goal, to get to that destination that God has for you. So not only are you teaching them a lesson, but God is using them in the situation to get you to where you need to go. So it's like either way you win, and either way God wins. Like either way it goes, like God, even though these situations that we're in, may seem very low, may seem like, out, it may feel like, we have nothing, and what's happening, what's going on, God, like, why am I in this situation? Even though these situations don't seem good, but they really are. They're really there to get us to where we need to go. And once again, God will get the last laugh. You and God, he will get the last laugh. He will get the last call. And the thing about it is, those situations are literally being used to get you to where you need to go. And it's all gonna play out how it's supposed to be. So doing the will of God is really, even though in the time and the situation we may think that, it's we were like, okay, God, why do you have us in this situation? Why are we in this situation? Like, why would you want me to go through this sorrow, through this hardship? Why would you want me to be in this situation? Why would you want me to suffer like this? But man, in the end though, it's we reap the benefits. We reap it all. It's a lesson. There's a lesson in there, and there's also a lesson to the others that are around you. Whatever situation you're in, it's a lesson to them too. And this is mostly for the naysayers and the scoffers. There will be times where there will be situations where you'll be helping out, people who are believers of Christ, and you will be helping out them. But I'm talking more of the times where we are being laughed at, where our enemy is laughing at us, our enemy is scoffing at us, and not taking us seriously, not acknowledging our light and the change that we have done, not acknowledging, what the things that we're saying, we're trying to tell them. That's what I'm talking about, is that, that we are sent to also humble and teach the naysayers and the unbelievers a lesson, and to really, we are being used for God's glory. And like I said, in the end, in due time, everything will manifest itself. Everything will show for itself. Because one thing about God is that everything doesn't happen overnight. It does. God can do it in a switch. But the thing about us is that we need to be pruned and prepped. God is not going to give us something, big, and we're not going to know how to sustain it, how to handle it. So he's going to take us through the furnace, through the fire, prune us, prep us to be able. So when we get that blessing, when we get there where we're going, that we are able to handle it, that we're able to have it. So before that, just know that there will be trials and tribulations and things you got to go through to get there. So, hey, that's just how it is. But in the end, though, it always benefits us. It always is what's good for us. And there's literally, I look at it like there's literally no type of, like, even though we go through things and kind of suffer sometimes, it's good. It's so hard to explain, because you're like, suffering is not good, but our suffering in Christ is good though. So anyways, I will talk to you guys in my next video. I hope you guys like this message. Bye bye.